Hello and welcome to the FSF PopCast Live Edition. Hello and welcome, kids and cadets, to the FSF PopCast. This is our Live at 5 weekly review of the new show from Marvel, Secret Invasion. So we'll be doing this every Wednesday. As long as Secret Invasion is going, we'll be coming to you talking about this week's episode, what has transpired on that episode today, what's going on, what you can expect to think about maybe. And as always, we want to remind you right here, right now, that this is your opportunity to know that there are spoilers ahead. So if you haven't watched this week's episode of Secret Invasion, we are going to talk about all the things that you could possibly see. So again, spoiler alert, spoiler. I don't know how else to say it without, letting people know for sure that we're definitely going to talk about some things.
You can only say the word so many before it starts to lose meaning, Spoiler alert. Spoiler.
So first and foremost, what was your thoughts on this week's episode?
There was a lot of wait, what just happened?
Yeah,
because as we're going to get into that, there are some events that happen. That's like, wait, so there are how many? And they're running what?
Right.
And wait, who's Fury's married? Does he know that she's a Skrull? Yeah. What's going on here?
Yeah, there's so many things that happen in this week's episode that, because, in one of Marvel's taglines for this show is, you can't trust anyone.
Right.
And it has me at that point. 2 episodes in, I'm going, I can't trust anybody. Is this person a human? Is this person a Skrull? Because of their ability to shapeshift and morph and all of that. Right. So I'm very curious about your thoughts on a few things as we go through today.
Oh yeah,
and talk about them, because there's some really cool things that happen in today's episode. A couple of them, like you said, were like, what happened? I found I didn't do this last week, but I found myself this week rewinding a couple times so I could watch certain parts of scenes over again.
I know, right?
Yeah. You mentioned the Nick Fury married thing. Definitely rewound that scene. Like, did he just wait? She was a Skrull? Yeah. So there was that.
Which gives me some theories about some other things that have nothing to do with the episode. But anyway, we're moving on.
Yes. I'm excited to hear you. I always love to hear your theories, John. So, all right. So let's get into this. So first and foremost, I want to talk about Gravik because he's the big bad of the show, essentially.
Right.
And, he's a Skrull, but he shapeshifts into this fine looking man over here.
But is he really bad? Really?
Well, he's
I
the
can see where he's coming from.
No, I'm not. Well, the thing is, a good villain, you should be able to see where he's coming from. You should be able to understand and have some level of empathy as to how they got there, why they got there. I mean, you'd be able to identify with their plight, because you either want to be able to identify with their plight or just enjoy their crazy. That's why the Joker, that's why the Joker is so good for DC, is that you can just enjoy his crazy.
Right.
Okay. But there's other villains where you can identify with their plight. Even Thanos, you could identify with his plight, what he was thinking about. And, hey, if he gets rid of 50% of the idiots, we're that much better. I mean,
yeah. Okay.
Thanos had a point. I don't care what you say.
Anybody's I-75 on the weekend, you know it.
Exactly. And then we have guys like Gravik here, who is kind of an interesting character because he's not in MCU, in Marvel, anywhere else before this. He's created for this show.
Right.
And so they have such an opportunity here to create a character with depth and with all this, around him. And then 2 episodes in, I think they're doing a really good job of kind of world building him up and giving him a backstory and why he has taken issue and umbrage with, Fury and the things that are happening. And so you do kind of feel his plight, and you look at him and go, yeah, it's legit. I can see why he's upset.
Yeah. He just wants a place to live. He wants a place for his people.
He wants a place to live. He wants a place for his people. Fury took him in at a time of high loss. He had lost, his family. His mother and father were killed, and as he said, they were killed honorably, or I believe it was something along those lines. It was almost very Klingon-esque.
A little bit,
yeah. And but then it was just he wants to find a place for his people, and Fury grabs him and touches foreheads with him, and as a scroll thing to just show connection, and
Right.
trying to get this young man to believe that he's going to help take care of him, and then boom, here we flash forward to where we're at now, where he's like, yeah, I'm going to kill this guy. He didn't give us the home he promised. We're just going to take
Right.
it.
Yeah. Which, okay, sounds wrong, but you can see where he's coming from. They've been waiting 30 years.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, because the time frame where for the Captain Marvel movie was mid '90s,
Mm-hmm.
so set in modern day. So yeah, at least 30 years.
Yeah.
So, and they still haven't found a home for the Skrulls. They haven't found a planet where they can go live safely, and so yeah, it's kind of interesting now that we find out. And before I change the image here, we've talked about this off camera, but so now Talos tells Fury exactly how many are on the planet.
Yeah.
He thinks it was just a couple hundred. He finds out they're well over 1 million now,
Right.
which
Which,
is kind of scary.
yeah. And I mean, how much of that is that Talos didn't tell him? How much is it that it happened while Fury was blipped away?
While he was blipped, while he was up on Saber, while
Right.
yeah,
And why
yeah.
did he build a scroll detection device? I mean, that seems very not Fury to not have a way of finding these guys.
Sorry about that. I thought I muted my mic. Enjoy that cough.
That's
Sorry
okay.
about that. Yeah, it some way somehow to be able to find and detect somebody who's not, that's not human,
Yeah.
to who can shapeshift and morph how they look, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And so the reason I bring up that number is because we see Gravik in this episode going from being, you just think he's just some despondent who's leading a small band of unhappy folks in some hidden camp in Russia, and it's way more than that.
Yeah.
We see him in with the head of NATO. We see him in with uh all these big guys at this round table, and they're all like, yeah, we're gonna make Gravik our general because he has the fire to get this done. And I'm like, oh boy.
Yeah. That scene kind of scared me a little bit.
Yeah, because I mean, looking forward, so this is a 6 episode mini series. We're 2 episodes in, and they just set the bar pretty high for what's going to come up and moving forward. So
Right.
all of a sudden, they're talking about we're seeing them infiltrated at the highest levels of government.
Yeah.
We're seeing them infiltrated at the highest levels of the media in all these different places, and because that's where Shooter McGavin comes in. He's a big media dude.
Yeah.
I don't care what role he ever takes the rest of his life. No offense to him, he's a wonderful actor, but I kind of like calling him Shooter McGavin. I mean, I wouldn't call him that face to face. I'd be more respectful, but when we're talking about characters on a movie or a TV show, yeah, Shooter
Mhm.
McGavin's a big media, big head,
Oh yeah.
and he's a Skrull, and so helping to control and point the narrative.
Right. So then they've the Skrulls pretty much rule a decent chunk of the world, or control the thinking of a
Yeah,
decent chunk of the world, through media. And so, what else are they doing that we don't see in that room?
right. Yeah, so, and which is kind of interesting, which leads us to our next point, because that's what they're kind of doing. They're looking at some type of genetic modifications. We see Gia,
Mm-hmm.
Talos's daughter, kind of sneaking in and kind of watching over the edge of the computers and machines in some back room and somewhere in Russia.
Right.
And which is kind of interesting, because with the genetic splicing and the things that they're doing is going to lead to Gravik being this. We see this in the trailer.
Right.
He's got the ability to extend his arm. Now, this is one of two things. He's either taking Mr. Fantastic or Groot's ability, or combination of the two.
Yeah. I'm guessing it's
Uh,
Groot because we saw that on screen.
I'm thinking it's going to be a combination of both.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is because I still think we're looking for a way to introduce the Fantastic Four. We haven't really seen the Fantastic. We know that they're coming, but I think this is also another way that they could use to introduce the Fantastic Four. Um,
Right.
Facebook user says it's a metaphor for the Illuminati that are now controlling the world around us in all aspects of our lives.
Which makes sense since they're green, and I think Fury called it Talos reptilian.
Yeah.
So you've got these lizard people running the world. That does fit the conspiracy theory pretty well.
Now all of a sudden, I'm thinking it's the movie V, the old TV show from the 80s.
Oh,
If you
man, I love
remember
that
that, the
show.
lizard people. That was a great show.
The remake wasn't that great, but
No,
the
they
original,
tried.
yeah,
They tried. But yeah, I was
totally
hoping the
different.
remake
We
was.
that another night.
I was hoping the remake would be better, but hey, it is what it is.
Hmm.
But yeah, so the Skrulls are. It's going to be interesting moving forward. I'm kind of curious to see what they're going to do with this whole genetic splicing thing. Is it going to go to a large number of the Skrulls, or is it going to be a select few in Gravik's army?
Mm-hmm.
You know, yeah, or Alien Nation, or maybe even They Live. Yeah, you're not too far off with any of those. Absolutely. So yeah, some really cool things coming up from what we're seeing already, and I'm very much looking forward to this. So, but this did make me have one major question now, because and all the artwork and everything that they're showing off for this show, and the teaser trailers and everything, they're like, you can't trust anyone, can't trust anyone.
Mm-hmm.
So we learned that way back in the time of um, boy, my brain just went kaputs. Oh, in Far From Home, that was
Oh,
sorry.
right. Okay.
Yeah, and so in Far From Home, the Spider-Man movie, we come to understand because of the end credit scene that this wasn't Fury and this wasn't Maria Hill. This was Talos and his wife impersonating Fury and Maria Hill
Okay.
as a personal favor from Fury. So I'm kind of curious now as we go into this episode. Is Maria Hill really dead?
I think so, because as in the interrogation scene, you cut off the finger of the Skrull, and we saw last week when you kill a Skrull, they revert to their natural state pretty quickly. So when Hill hit the ground and was presumably dead at that point, she stayed human.
Okay.
But counterpoint,
if she wasn't dead, she would have. She would.
dead.
It's only mostly dead. If she was only mostly dead, she would have not reverted. She would have stayed in her form. Because okay, so you look at the Skrull being under interrogation, and all the pain and suffering and everything he was going through, he still stayed in his human form. Yeah. Even through pain and suffering, they have the ability to hold that form.
Right.
So if that's not Maria, if that was Maria Hill, did they take her off the board to hide? Because Fury plays the long game.
He does.
And did he know that was a possibility? I'm just curious with all the way that Fury likes to move the chips and do things, and based on his history in the comics and everything else that we've seen with Fury, he's not exactly always truthful. He plays the long game, and he's willing to tell a mistruth, shall we say, if it's going to benefit him and his object as he's moving forward. So if he's going to let her mother think that she's dead because that's going to help in the long run, I totally think that's something Fury would do.
It is one of those details that you leave out, I guess. Like,
bingo, yeah. His secrets have secrets.
Right.
Exactly.
Like
so
on the train.
Yeah. So, because now Talos's wife is dead.
Yeah.
But Fury is still alive. We think. Presumably. Because now I'm wondering, okay, so is this Fury that we're seeing here with the beard and without the eye patch and all that fun stuff? Is that really Fury? And which Fury that we're seeing is actually Fury?
So you think they're changing it from scene to scene, whether it's really him or not?
Well, I don't know if it's from scene to scene, but I do think that he could be in two places at once, based on some of the locations of where he's at in the screen and what's going on.
And since Gravik did impersonate him last episode.
Bingo.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious as to whether or not Fury is actually Fury in some of these scenes. Is he a Skrull? I mean, because even in their own artwork, and I'll bring this up now. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we see it right there. There's, this artwork is provided by Disney. That's a
Yep.
Skrull underneath Fury's skin. So, I mean, there's some question there as to who is Fury and who's a Skrull, and
Right.
it's making me question everything because I want to know which Fury is real. Okay, so was Rhodey really Rhodey? I think so.
Yeah.
I don't think Rhodey was a Skrull, but I went back through this episode today. I'm like, and kind of found myself going, okay, was Fury really Fury at this point? Was he Fury at this point? Was he Fury at that point? Now at the end where we meet his wife at Hello Bombshell. Didn't
Yeah.
know Fury was married.
I didn't know Nick was
Um,
married.
yeah, that's the second Nick I didn't know was married. Uh, our Nick, by the way, if you're playing the home version of this game,
Sorry, I didn't know if I was supposed to leak that or not.
it's out there. Whatever, it's on his Facebook page.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Um,
I don't feel bad then.
yeah, yeah. Our Nick got married, so yeah, it is what it is. But that's our second Nick this month that we found out got married. So yeah, and we go back to his secrets have secrets.
Yes. Well, I mean, if you were married to a Skrull, you wouldn't tell your friends the Avengers, I guess. That makes sense.
Right. So okay, but yeah, did Fury actually marry a Skrull, or is this a Skrull impersonating his wife? Is his wife alive? There's so many questions from this episode, and
Did the
they're all
Skrulls, did they
and they're
plant somebody to marry him so that they would always have a spy in his bedroom?
right. I mean, there's so much going on here. I mean, there's so much where and most of my questions from this episode is like, okay, are you a Skrull? Are you a Skrull?
Huh?
What about you? Are you a Skrull?
Yeah.
Now I want to know, well, obviously the lady that cut off the Skrull's finger, we know that she is a Skrull because she was in the committee. She was at the round table.
Mm-hmm.
She's a Skrull, right? Raya or Rana or whatever her name is. I
Right.
don't remember. I'd have to go back and look it up, but
Yeah.
um, and so yeah, but we also know that we're not losing Fury in theory because coming up he's going to be in the Marvel movies. We see him in the trailer for the Marvels,
Or
but
is
is
that a
that the
Skrull?
Skrull? Is it exactly? I mean, like this is the perfect lead-in for the Marvel movies.
You throw
The
one
Marvels,
shapeshifter in and you stop trusting evereverody.
right?
You throw a million in.
There's just so much that could possibly happen here with leading up to this movie here, for the Marvels. Um, this is going to be so. Yeah, we have opportunity for Fantastic Four lead-ins. We've got
Mhm.
opportunity for X-Men lead-ins. We've got opportunity for from that picture of Gravik earlier, Guardians of the Galaxy tie-in. This could affect almost every single corner of the MCU.
Right. Which, I mean, any good story changes the world around it. So,
Yeah, Facebook user says depends on what memories he has to know if he's legit or Skrull.
because could you brainwash a Skrull into thinking he was Fury?
Isn't there something about how they only
Yeah.
have recent memories?
Yep.
Yeah, the more recent memories. If you remember from episode 1, they had like that think tank thing, and they put him in, and they do the my mind to your mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
It wasn't quite the Vulcan, my mind to your mind thing, but
Yeah. So there was one theory that I saw on Reddit in between episodes, and that is that Gia isn't actually a Skrull, that she's Mystique.
yeah, you were talking about this.
Yeah, which I don't
Hi,
know.
Jim Vanis.
So I don't know how well that holds up, but it'd be interesting to have a shapeshifter infiltrate the shapeshifters.
That would be really very cool, and I think it would lead to some. That'd be a great way to honestly to introduce the X-Men.
Right.
Because if now it makes me wonder, okay, so if that in that theory that you read
Mhm. Yeah.
on Reddit, did they say
Reddit.
anything to did they say anything as to regards what happened to Gia?
No.
Because now
No.
I'm curious: is Gia alive?
I mean, maybe not. But then, if the Gia we see on screen is actually Mystique, her daughter would be Rogue, who steals Captain Marvel's powers later.
Which would be a great lead into the Marvels movie.
Which would be kind of cool. But
That would be.
I
I was thinking. Jim says no. I was thinking about in the shed in the Captain Marvel, but how she knew she was a Skrull by her lack of memories.
Oh yeah,
true. But she also was doing an on the fly tie-in, or impersonation rather.
mm-hmm.
And in the episode 1 of Secret Invasion, they had the machine there to help give the personality and all those things.
Some more in-depth memories. It seemed like.
Yeah, so maybe they can tie into the more in-depth things. I think if they're doing it on the fly, they can only have the immediate, the recent stuff. So, yeah.
And speaking of in-depth, if that was not really Nick Fury's wife, if that was a Skrull impersonating her and he didn't know the whole time, or she just replaced him or whatever, she did a great job of getting on his case about not having his ring on.
Right?
Yeah.
Aren't you forgetting something?
Yeah. Get home from work. Yeah. So I forgot something this morning. Or you get that text message that's just the picture. It's like, oh, I better buy flowers on the way home. It's never happened. What are you talking about?
I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. So yeah, we've got some really cool stuff coming up.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
I'm curious. I want to know. Like I said, I on the one hand, I'm really excited that we have these episodes, only one episode a week, so it gives me the whole week to nerd out and kind of figure out and do some deep dives in between. And I find myself looking up articles because and now but on the other hand, I'm also like, I got to wait a whole week to figure out what happened in this episode. And,
isn't it fun?
It is, so far to me, this is out of all the Marvel miniseries shows, this has been the best. We're only 2 episodes in, and I hate to anoint it as, this is the best and be that guy. But so far, I have really enjoyed this one the most.
This one seems to be doing the most to the rest of the world and to the characters at the same time.
It's setting. There's so much possibility of world building and setup here for other things moving forward. And again, like I said earlier, there's opportunities for Fantastic Four. There's opportunities for X-Men. There's opportunities clearly for the tie-in to the Miss Marvel's movie. So,
yeah, I'm really excited to find out what happens in the next 4 episodes. Kind of sad there's only 4, but then, the story can just be done and we can move on to the next thing.
Any predictions for moving forward?
Oh, I'm not sure exactly what Gravik has in mind for the human race, but I imagine it's not good.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be many humans left. They're
Or
called slaves if they keep them.
Yeah. Indentured servitude?
Yes. Forced indentured servitude, yes.
Yeah. Right.
So, I think moving forward, I don't think Maria's really dead. I think that this was a card played by Fury. And I think the one that we saw in the first episode was the real Fury. Moving forward in the second episode, I have questions of which Fury showed up. The one that was talking to Rhodey, pretty sure that was the right Rhodey. The right Fury, rather. The one in the train car with Talos, pretty sure that was him. Anywhere else, I don't know.
Right.
Except for the one at the end with the wife, where the wife was like, "Yeah, where's your ring?" And he's like, "Oh, yeah," and he knew exactly where to go for the ring. Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty sure that was Fury.
Pretty sure.
But I have questions about, which Fury's up on Saber now, which Fury was, there's just so much. My brain is basically like a big KitchenAid blender, just.
Because if it was a Skrull who got his Fury's memories implanted in him through the machine, he wouldn't necessarily know he wasn't Fury. So Skrull Fury could be on Earth while real Fury's still on Saber, or the other way around. That's contagious.
You're welcome. Yeah. Can't trust anybody. So Marvel's doing a really good job with that. They're doing a really good job of setting up the paranoia. They're the ability to look at this and go, yeah, this isn't working right. That isn't working right. Something is a little fishy over here. You know, so moving forward, I think that's going to pay off really well for us in the future, because it's going to lead to a high. I mean, this is already, a spy thriller type of show anyway.
Oh yeah.
But this is going to lead to some really intense, high stakes scenes, and I'm really looking forward to that in the last couple episodes before this all comes to a close.
Right.
And I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that I don't think that we're going to have resolution at all to this series. I think it's going to set it up, and we're not going to see resolution until the Miss Marvel's movie.
You think it'll end on a cliffhanger?
Oh yeah, for sure.
That'd be great. Because that would also be very keeping with the spy thriller. Like, wait, what happens next? And it just cuts to black.
Exactly. Yeah, it'll cut to black. We'll have some type of post-credit scene in the final episode that launches us forward into the Marvel's movie.
I could see that.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to have resolution. I don't think we're going to get, even if they kill Gravik, it's not going to quell the situation and take care of the issue. I think the issue is so much bigger than just Gravik.
Yeah.
Because he's got so many underneath him that believe in his cause, because his cause, he's promoted it as just and worthy and right.
And we have no idea how far ahead of Fury he is in everything.
Exactly. And because I think that's
Fury
what also makes it fun.
He didn't know how many Skrulls there were even, whereas Gravik's been cultivating his base for...
Right, which is why Fury was so pissed, because, he was like, oh yeah, he didn't know how many Skrulls there were. So yeah.
Right.
So it's very cool. I'm very excited about this moving forward. So
yeah.
So next week is episode 3. We have, we'll come back and talk about that more. If you like the content of what you're hearing today, please don't forget to do, as the show notes say down there, go check us out on our Patreon page. We have some really cool stuff coming up. We have an interview being released this Friday with Ernie Altbecker. Ernie is a Emmy-nominated writer for DC animation. So pretty much any DC animated movie you've watched over the last, God, I don't know how many, 10 years or so, or even longer, Ernie has pretty much written most of them. And he is an amazing writer. And yeah. But on our Patreon page, now that interview doesn't get released to the public till Friday, but you could have access to it for as little as $3 today on our Patreon page. And that's down in the show notes that we'll link there for you to be able to go and check that out. Plus, for $10 a month, you can get access to all the behind the scene content and all the bloopers that I didn't create today. So
there's a lot.
There's a lot of Tim going, hi, I'm Tim. So anyway, but yeah, go check that out, and you guys won't be disappointed by that. And if you're watching on YouTube, if you haven't already, please click like and subscribe. Your doing so helps us to continue to grow, get amazing guests each and every week for you guys to be able to hear funny stuff from, and give you yet another reason to go visit our Patreon page and log in there. All right, guys, thank you so much. John, thanks for your opinions. And yeah,
I don't hear that often.
Well, I know your wife, and I wanted to make sure that, you heard it at least once.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it, Tim.
I am so in trouble for that later. All right. That's going to do it for us, guys. Goodbye.
Bye.
On behalf of the rest of the hosts of the FSF PopCast, we want to thank you for listening to this episode. If you'd like to be a guest on a future episode, please contact us by means of Twitter or Instagram using the handle @FSF PopCast, or go to www.fsfpopcast.com and click on the contact link. Thanks again, and hope you enjoyed the episode.